Hello again, and welcome to another episode of the Fun Fans Podcast. We are coming to you live the day after we have brought the trophy back to Clemson, baby. You see on the screen, that's our boy Aiden Swanson holding the Palmetto Bowl trophy. Had a great game. Tigers had a great game. And that's what we're going to get into today. We're going to talk about celebrating a full year of state bragging rights. We're going to get into some other fun games of rivalry week. And we're going to give you our fun, not fun list from this Saturday. But first, the Fun Fans are a proud part of the Fanboy Fangirl Sports Podcasting Network. If you're a true sports fan, the Fanboys Fangirls is perfect for you. Find various nationwide podcasts and other sports media at thefanboys.com and on all forms of social media. The Fun Fans Podcast is the official podcast for Clemson fans.
Hey, let's don't forget about Rubens and thank them. Food, sports, spirits, and catering. The best wings around with 2 locations in the upstate. 1083 Batesville Road in Greer and 11028 Anderson Road in Piedmont. Find them at RubensC.com. Rubens is simply a great place to eat for all sports fans. And I wish I'd had some Rubens wings last night.
Yeah, we're getting into that on the fun, not fun part of the show. I'm your host, as always, James Dillard. With me, also, as always, my co-host, Bailey Jackson. How you doing, Bailey?
I'm good. I'm happy to be state champs again.
State champs is nothing like being a champion of anything. Masters of our domain as well. The Tigers ended up finishing the regular season on a 4-game winning streak. And you know what? There may have been some times where that wouldn't have sounded, years ago where that wouldn't have sounded all that great. There have been some times other years ago that would have sounded awesome. This year, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, because it is.
Yeah, it's right. That's right.
Especially, look, I'm convinced that the best is yet to come. And I don't know who says it all the time, but I think it's Dabo Swinney. I'm just telling you, we're not looking back.
We declared this a rebuilding season. It started with Notre Dame. Granted, and we'll talk about the game here in a second. Granted, we had 3 games at home, and we're obviously a better team this year. We're a much better team at home than we are on the road or were this season on the road. The season it's hard to believe the regular season's over. It's over. We've played 12 games and it's a done deal. So congratulations to the Clemson Tigers for finishing 8-4 and getting that 4-game winning streak and bringing the Palmetto Trophy back to Clemson. So my quick thoughts on the game. Number one, and this is the thing that we've somewhat dealt with, and you'll probably know, I don't know if we've dealt with the injuries hitting us so hard in one position area. Our top 3 wide receivers were out. The top 3 wide receivers. You put 4 on the field or 3 in a tight end, and our top 3 were out. So basically our entire starting.
Then the other tight end was out, Ennis.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And so our offense, we can say they looked a little stale. It reminded me of Clemson football back in the day. You drive, you play field position, you drive some, you kick a field goal. Thank goodness the field goals were going in. So the 3 receivers being out, you play great defense. Our defense, I mean, I don't know what you can say other than, they just 169 yards of total offense for the Gamecocks. You kind of felt like, you said it Wednesday, they're going to get some first downs. They're going to make some plays. Other than that one drive, it's almost, that didn't even happen.
It is total domination. That's what it was. And the only time they scored, there was an obvious hold. They held Clemson's defensive line all night. And hey, if the referees aren't going to call it, okay, fine, don't call it. And then we had the play stopped, and one of the guys slipped down. He planted to go make the tackle, and he slipped. or they don't score.
Right.
They don't score.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because I'm going to point out the positive side. I'm not going to complain about the refs not holding because, first of all, they were consistent. They literally didn't call it all night long. And I think I sent a text to some friends and I said, it's going to be ugly when our players adjust to understanding that they're just not going to call the holding because, I mean, I coach defensive line myself. You play a little, you quit worrying about the swim and the rip because they're going to grab you and you're done. It's all bull rush. And after that, they literally came out the second half. It didn't matter if they held or not because a row and Xavier and Parker.
They had Woods and Carter and Trotter Jr. They had a few meetings in the backfield.
Yeah, it was really unbelievable. Extreme kudos to those guys. And however, the Fun Fan, I'm making the executive decision that the Fun Fans MVP goes to Jonathan Whites. Mm-hmm. Is that how he pronounces his name, right?
I'm pretty sure I told you, and I don't know if it was on air or off air. I said that guy's going to have to win a game for Clemson at some point this year. And hey, buddy, thank you. He looked like a professional place kicker. So, every one of his kicks was a career long.
Oh, and they were in different parts of the field. He's on the right hash. He's on the left hash, and he just like nothing.
Did you hear his story? Did you hear his story? You do your two things. I'll tell you a story.
Well, is it the story about when he was kicking as a kid? Everything was this one's to beat the Gamecocks. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he should have tried a few that was this one's to beat Florida State, but we can't worry about that right now.
Rear view.
Yeah, rear view mirror. So two things, and I can't remember what the first one was, but the second one is everybody gives Dabo a hard time about his loyalty. There's an example of how loyalty pays off. If he would have been up and down and in and out, and you look at the kid, and he's a kid. He came from the workforce, but he's still 22 or 20, however old he is. And you say, "You're my kicker. You got this. Keep work, whatever it is he's saying." And then, like you say, he basically wins the game for us last night against the Gamecocks. And so go ahead. You want to embellish a little bit on the story?
Well, yeah, that's the story he told. And he got a little emotional because he said, "I probably made that kick in my mind 1,000 times, or those kicks." Yeah. And I'm going to tell you, we talked about it last night. There's 3 positions I would not want to play. 1, actually 4. 1, long snapper. 2, holder. 3, kicker. And 4, the guy that has to catch the punts.
I would definitely much rather be the long snapper than the holder. I'd rather be the holder is probably number 1 for me. Yeah. Don't want to be
I was a holder one time when I played JV football, but we didn't ever score. And if we did score, the coach always said, "We're going for 2."
Go for 2.
So
a lot of times you don't have a kicker.
And then I was the safety valve on the kickoff, and we never kicked off because we didn't score. So
the punt return guys, that's definitely a tough job. And I think there was only 1, maybe 2 punts that we didn't. Just fair catch it and catch it. Right. And I'm fine with that. Just fair catch it. He did a
great job.
He did, and that's fine. And the goal of punt return, they should take the word return out of it. It should be punt catch. The goal is to end up with possession of the ball when the play's over. So take the return out. So I only have one other question, and Bailey, you may know something or you may have a different view, but the running back Anderson kid from South Carolina, when he got tackled kind of hard on the ground, we've seen it before. My man gets up and looks like he's seeing if Santa Claus is coming down the chimney, sidesteps and and looks like he's about to fall. And I saw people on social media giving kudos to his quarterback for saying, "Hey man, you just sit down and go." But like 2 plays later, he's back in with all this concussion protocol stuff, how in the world?
Well, he would have been. I mean, he'd have been held out in high school. But they have the same certification, the same trainers.
Yeah.
And so what it really boils down to is that they only had one guy that was available to be a running back.
It's different when you need bowl eligibility.
And he's also the one that put on Twitter or said at some press conference that, Clemson's pretty good, but they don't play SEC football. So, how'd that feel?
Yeah, little Tweety Birds ran his head.
Their best running back played at Newberry College last year. Not to take anything away from Newberry College, but that is a huge step up. And he's pretty good, but just keep your mouth shut, I would say.
Play, yeah.
Don't give us any bulletin board material. But if you notice after the game when they were interviewing Dabo, the two guys that came over and said, "Coach, we got you," were those two freshmen.
I mean, okay, speaking of the two freshmen, the same kid, I almost said ninth grader, freshman, scoops the backwards pass.
Which it clearly was a lateral, clearly.
I mean, it wasn't even close that it was backwards. Once again, I saw couple of game, which, people see what they want to see, trying to say that was forward. I'm like, come on, man, it was not forward. The Gamecock kids should know, all kids should know, kids, football players, you always treat it as if it's a backwards pass, period. You always treat it as if it's and plus it hit the guy right in the hands. He should have called it anyway, but they didn't. And then the same Barnes, interception on the very next possession. We definitely got off to a really, really good start. So
and we could have, if we could have punched that in. I mean, I'll talk briefly about the offense. The offense did. I mean, Cade made some good throws, and they were dropped.
Yes,
several big time throws, and they played a lot of zone. They backed off and played zone coverage, and there's some tight windows in there. And he made some good throws. I didn't like the interception in the end zone, but you know what? That's gonna happen. It is what it is. Like you said, it looked like what's wrong with winning 16-7?
It's a dub. It just makes the fans feel better if we're up by 47 instead of just.
Now, if we could have punched it in right there at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Punched it in. That would have been nice. But you know what? We got class.
Yeah, that's fine. That's all good. Cade, I think Cade played a good game. He made good reads.
He made good runs.
And I don't know the numbers, but he had some yardage. We had 3 running backs.
Design runs off of plays we've run all year.
Yeah.
Counters that we have not done all year. So like the fake swing pass to Shipley, and then he keeps it, and there's 2 guys leading him around the other side of the line. That's quarterback counter. That's all that is.
Yeah. So he had a good game. A couple more. Tyler from Greenville made a great catch, even though he was getting with some pass interference.
Right.
The one in the end zone was a little underthrown, little whatever, but like you say,
guy made a great catch.
Yeah, the kid made a great play on defense. That's true. So, and once the time started becoming a factor, the defense they just got more and more hype, and it got harder and harder for the Gamecocks to move the ball. So, very proud to be a Tiger fan. Anything else on the Clemson-Carolina game?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll just say Clemson gets to practice for another month, and that's only going to make people better that are freshmen. Yeah, and I will say this. I saw a tweet from our guy, Blackman Huckabee, who sang the national anthem a couple weeks ago. He said Shane Beamer made it a point to find him before the game and tell him what a unbelievable job he did singing the national anthem. So shout out to Shane Beamer for reaching out to Blackman. And because, there's a lot of respect between Beamer and Dabo.
Well, and I think there's a lot of respect from the coaches and our other teams and programs. Right. And Beamer's a good guy. He's a good He's a good coach. Dabo's a good guy, and they both do things that the other fan base can kind of pick on and make fun of, and that kind of makes it even a little more fun.
But they don't
But
care.
it's just yeah, it's all in the fun of the rivalry. So Beamer's a good guy, and a lot of their folks say similar things. Dabo does some stuff, and that's a good that they have a good relationship. So awesome. But the Tigers did so well, and I see you put in our notes here but we were left out of the AP poll.
I mean, I don't get it. Like, I just don't, I'm not even going to look at it and tell you who's in there. But they're in the BCS rankings, and they're in the ESPN Power rankings. So
they've been Clemson's been in the power rankings and as high as in the teens all year long. That ought to tell you something. But
yeah, I mean, I mean, we've had this discussion over and over and over.
Yeah,
Couple
whatever.
plays from being having a really good record, but you know what?
Really good.
It's gonna happen.
It's the rebuilding season. Next year we could be on. This time next year we'll be on a 16-game winning streak, maybe. So speaking of winning,
the first game of the year gonna be tough.
Winning in streaks. Florida State, Louisville, they're going to play. Louisville kind of let us down a little bit, but we're not real conference people. You brought up the SEC a minute ago, though, that I heard a stat. Now that the football season's over, the regular season, that the ACC went 6-4 against the SEC in football.
That's the most ever.
That's pretty good.
Hey, Georgia Tech played Georgia tough.
Played them tough. So kudos to the ACC, even though I don't know if that'll get them any more respect on the national stage. And I think hopefully Florida State still look pretty good. Their quarterback, I mean, he's solid, not just manage the game, make good throws kind of stuff. Obviously that was during the Clemson Carolina game, so I didn't get to really watch it. But what I did see is that they are still a really, really good team. They beat Florida, who is a pretty doggone, it's a bowl eligible SEC team. And hopefully they'll take care of Louisville and still make it to the college football playoffs. We kind of need that. We're pulling for Florida State to help our bowl placement. And you know what else helps our bowl placement?
I would think energy.
Scan this QR code, and it will take you directly to a 10% discount. Or just go to w.gg and enter promo code FUNFANS to get your 10% on your Jitterless energy drink. Lots of flavors. They also have hydration mixes with no caffeine, so that's awesome.
I am going to correct you real quick.
All right, correct me.
Florida is not bowl eligible.
Oh, I thought they were 6 and something.
They were 5 and 7.
Oh, they were playing for bowl eligible. So, okay, my bad. So they were right there. All right, well, there's that. Speaking of some other rivalry games, I don't think rivalry week disappointed. Thursday night, Thanksgiving night, I don't know if you watched Ole Miss, Mississippi State. That was a really exciting game to watch as a fan. Ole Miss was close. Ole Miss pulled it out, but it was a 10-point victory. But it was a real slobber knocker of a game. Arkansas, Missouri. I don't know if they're haven't heard of that at rivalry, but them cats were fighting from the get-go. Did you see any of that game?
No, I've been I'm just gonna be honest, I'm putting the fence up. And
Bailey's been working.
There wasn't but one game this weekend.
I remember I kept saying Bailey.
Now, I did watch the opening of the Michigan-Ohio State game long enough for me to get mad at the commentators, Gus Johnson, and how one-sided he was in favor of Ohio State. So anyway,
okay, I don't know if that was the guy I heard, but
to that game
there was one of the commentators. It seemed like he was pulling for whatever team had the ball, but every time when he switched, and I don't know the guy's name, so it might have been a different guy. But I'm like, daggum, he's biased towards like whoever it was, and then when the other team had the ball, it's like he was biased towards. So I don't know, but that game I watched the first quarter and the fourth quarter, and so did you see the Michigan? They jumped the route and scored that pick six.
I had it on the radio while I was working.
I was just going to say it's almost as if he knew what the play was.
Well, it's funny you said that
saying.
because when they came on air, Gus Johnson said, "You're looking live at the Big House, the largest football stadium, college football stadium in America, where today the Michigan Wolverines will play host to the most popular team in the land, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Michigan's won the last two, but maybe they had a little extra help." I mean, and I just said, you know what? This guy's a clown.
Well, I don't like they're busted when they didn't fight it. That just told me they cheated. So Washington. Okay, so some other fun games, and this was leading up to the Clemson Carolina game. So if you didn't watch it, you missed a couple of good ones. Washington State was going on at the same time as Auburn and Bama.
We did watch.
So I had to bring two TVs, and those were upset alerts about to happen. And so those were really good games. The higher ranked team ended up winning in the end, but Auburn had them. Auburn had the upset. They muffed the punt, and then they give up that. They didn't rush. They didn't rush the quarterback on 4th and goal from the 30.
Well, even Gary Daniels,
you got to put some.
How do you get beat deep when you're 3 yards from the back of the end zone?
Unbelievable. I mean, what a shame. I'm pulling for you're pulling for the underdog. So when it looks like it's going to be close, I'm pulling for the Cougars. Even though I like Washington. They're a good team. It's fine. I don't care. But I'm getting into the fun of the game. And I'm pulling for Auburn, even though they hadn't had a great season and what all. And doggone, they blew it. But anyway, fun games to watch. Didn't turn out well for those guys.
Did you see that Alabama had a 0.01 chance of winning with
before that last play,
3 minutes to go in the game?
Well, right before that last play,
right before the punt, they had a 0.01. But there's always a chance.
Kid catches that. We're talking about punt returners earlier. Yeah. He catches that punt. They likely win that game. And then there were some late games that were pretty good, but I didn't really get to watch the late games. I ain't gonna lie. I think that based on the scores, they were probably good games, but West Coast stuff, Notre Dame, Stanford, I didn't have any interest in that. Last one though, Oklahoma State, and I wasn't even watching this one, just keeping up with the score. They were getting beat down and then came back and beat BYU in double overtime. Obviously saw the highlights of that one, so that's awesome for them.
They did the
same and that's what put them into that put them in the Big 12 championship, right?
Mm-hmm. Just to back up about the punt returners.
Yeah.
In that situation, in my years of coaching football, I wouldn't even put anybody back there to catch it. I don't care where it goes.
Yeah, just let it roll.
You can fumble it is if we try to catch it.
Yeah. That will definitely, like I say, the goal is to end up with possession of the ball.
Correct.
That will do it. All right, so we move on to now that the games are over, the regular season is over. We got the conference championships. We got one more poll, college football playoff poll Tuesday night. And then next Sunday, they'll be picking who goes in. So here's my 6 right now. I got Georgia number 1, Florida State number 2. I got Oregon number 3 because them some bad boys. They are playing some bad football. I know if they went up against the SEC team, but I think they would still score. They would outscore Bama or Georgia, maybe. I don't know. I think they're going to beat Washington when they play. I got Bama number 5, even though they didn't look all that great against Auburn. And then Texas. Notice who's missing. Who's missing?
The O.
The cheaters.
And the Michigan Wolverines.
They're out. If they violated NCAA rules, they should not be allowed in the postseason. So they're out of the James Dillard Fun Fan Top 6 poll. # sorry, not sorry.
All right, so Bailey. Now I have Clemson and Georgia tied at number 1.
Go Tigers.
Number 2, I have Michigan. 3, Washington, because they beat Oregon. 4, Florida State, because they've done nothing not to be in the.
That's right.
5, Ohio State, and 6, I have a tie between Texas and Liberty. And y'all
Texas
know
and
if
Liberty.
you've watched this, you know that I try to be funny. But you
Yeah.
know, those that team is undefeated and it's pretty remarkable. Anywho.
Some of that's real. Oh,
Yep.
yeah. That's a big deal. Big deal. So we'll see what comes out of the poll. All right. On to the fun, not fun. And I don't have any graphics. So you're just going to have to pay attention. The fun, not fun part of the weekend. This is the best part of the show anyway. Number one fun thing is beating your rival. Yes. Go Tigers. Bragging rights. Not fun is losing to your rival. So all the other half of the country, we know how you feel. It was just last year. That's not fun. So hang
But
in there.
we know how you know. It's like after last year's game, I texted one of my buddies. I said, "Man, now I know how you guys have felt for the past 7 years."
Yeah. Can rub some people can rub it in even if
mm-hmm.
even if
Well,
you've
even if
lost
you
the
lose.
game. Yeah. All right, here's what's fun. Thanksgiving and football. And see what we did for the game, we grilled steaks in between all the turkey and dressing. So Bailey, what did y'all do? Or do we talk about that when we get to a not fun part of the
Well, we can cover my not fun at the bottom right now. We had fire projector outside. We had I smoked chicken wings. We had some chili, and we had some sandwiches and things. So it was, I mean, it was nice. We had my brother came over and my son and my wife, and that was it because that's how I need to watch that game.
in
I don't need
Jacksonville?
to do it in mixed company, where a mix being Gamecocks and Tigers. I'm not ever doing that unless it's in a stadium. And but my smoked chicken wings were a disappointment. I was
The
trying to
not
smoke
not
them.
fun.
Yeah, that's not fun. I was trying to smoke them on the grill, and it just. I'll try again.
Didn't work out. I got a tip on that. We'll talk about that later from my boy Perry.
All right.
All right, this is fun. Clemson going 3 for 3 in field goals.
Correct.
I mean, I sat there every time and said, there's no way he makes 2 in a row. There's no way he makes 3 in a row. It reminded me when he made 3 in a row, it reminded me of that lady that was on the airplane and saying that, and I'm not going to use the profanity, but that is not real. And so whatever. It was like, but it was great. That was awesome. The not fun now was the coverage by the SEC network. And I'm not talking about the commentators. I'm not talking about any bias. I'm talking about there was like bad
the high school kids
camera
running the
angles.
cameras.
Yeah, or something. So you noticed it too?
Yeah, well, the play-by-play guy is from Charlotte. He may still host a program called On the Green every Saturday morning. It's a golf program on 610 radio. But yeah, the camera people were not good.
They were missing stuff. There was time when I'm waiting on them to show a replay of a play that normally they would show the replay and they would just never show it. Or I don't know. I didn't think the production of that was
pretty bad.
Was very good.
Now not having to travel anywhere. And I will say this, I'm gonna back up to the last fun. We celebrated the made field goals as if they were 99-yard touchdown interceptions. I mean, it was high fives all around. And
yes,
because the guy, he's in a tough spot, but he looked like a professional yesterday, and thank goodness.
Everything is different if you've been through something to get there.
That's right.
The destination is different based on the journey. So the last fun is not having to travel. That was pretty nice. And then the last not fun is having your vehicle broken into. So won't really get into that. But if I catch,
it's still a pending investigation.
That explicative in my neighborhood again, don't let me catch you.
Now,
all right.
In other sports news, the Clemson men's basketball team is now 5-0 with a huge game Tuesday night in the SEC ACC Challenge at number 17 Alabama. The Lady Tigers are also 4-2 on the season, and if they don't, don't feel bad, Lady Tigers. Everybody gets beat by the Gamecocks like that.
Oh man, jeez.
So anyway, the Clemson ladies soccer team won yesterday and is now in the national semifinal. So they're in the Final Four. It's called the something cup. and it's in. I think they're playing that up in Cary, North Carolina, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But they play
Right.
Friday versus Florida State, who beat them 2-1 in the ACC championship. Men's soccer had a 1-0 lead on New Hampshire when we started in the third round, and I can check that real quick. And the winner of that advances to the Elite Eight and will play Stanford. So good things are happening.
Yep.
Here it is. Let's see. I don't want to be disappointed on live television.
So men's
Final
soccer
1-0. Clemson advances.
All right.
To play the 16 seeds, the Stanford Cardinal, in a match of future ACC foes.
Awesome.
That's other sports news.
Other sports news. Well, that's awesome. I appreciate that, Bailey. And we're going to be back this Wednesday, 8:30. Do a little preview of the conference championship games, midweek show. And as the season comes to an end, I said this last time, we're going to start lining up guests again. We're going to have some really interesting and cool guests. I'm not going to tell you who they are. You got to tune in and find out. But before we go, we want to thank one more sponsor, and that is Diamond Edge Products.
Guys, do you need something for Christmas for a Tiger fan? How about check out Diamond Edge Products? They can put any design on anything. And they're also an officially licensed partner with Clemson University. So go get you some Christmas presents. And if you have more questions, talk to Jalen, Jaylin, at diamondedgeproducts.com. It's good stuff, and we appreciate them.
Good stuff. Yeah. Thanks to Diamond Edge Products. It's been a great show. Hope you enjoyed the show. We're going to enjoy this win all year long. We're looking forward to some bowl season. So we got conference championship. We got some bowl stuff to talk about. We're going to start getting some guests on here. So join us this coming Wednesday and then every Sunday night for the fun. Thanks again for checking us out each and every week. Don't forget to click subscribe on the Fun Fans Podcast YouTube channel, as well as your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on all social media, and please share. On behalf of the Fun Fans Podcast, J Thriller Entertainment, the Fanboys Fangirls Podcast Network, and Bailey Jackson.
That's right. Say Rivalry Week 5 times fast. Just kidding.
Rivalry Week.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Go Tigers.
That's right. Rivalry Week is a dub. Go Tigers.
That's right.